The Great Flood, it really happened. Marine fossils are found all over the continents, including at the tops of all the highest mountain ranges. There are over 500 flood narratives, legends, and myths from all parts of the globe testifying that humans witnessed the event. It was the most important geological event in Earth's history. It was the largest natural disaster to occur in the history of mankind. It was the Great Dying, shown in the fossil record, where 95% of marine species and 75% of land species perished. For this and other reasons, it was the single most important biological event known. Some things to consider. We know the Earth is rotating. We also know from seismic studies and other lines of evidence that the interior of the Earth is full of liquid. Earth's thin crust is known to be floating on enormous quantities of liquid beneath. But what is this liquid? The overwhelming evidence points to water. The continents are currently held in equilibrium between the forces of gravity on one side versus centrifugal force and surface tension on the other. So, how exactly did the Great Flood occur? As a large comet or other celestial body passed by Earth, its gravitational interaction temporarily slowed Earth's rotation, letting the heavy granite continents sink, forcing the liquid water below to come up and cover all dry land. Genesis refers to this process when it says, "And the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up." According to tree ring data from around the world, the year was 2345 BC. According to fish and frog eggs encased in amber, the abundance of fossilized reptile eggs and fossilized unopened pine cones, it started in late April or early May of 2345 BC. Here is a NASA photo of water bursting from below Enceladus's icy crust. Enceladus is one of Saturn's hydromoons. After the comet passed, Earth's rotation slowly resumed its prior speed. The continent came back to the surface, and the waters went back to where they came from. The flood had covered all land surfaces for about a year's time. How did the Earth resume its rotational speed? Well, the Earth's rotation is kept relatively constant by resonance energy from the Sun, together with what the UM calls CUE, or Central Universal Energy. This is the same energy source that causes electrons to spin around a nucleus and affects all matter in the universe. More details are given in the Universal Model, A New Millennial Science, Volume 3. We know from many lines of evidence that there was a Great Flood, and according to the evidence found thus far, this is how it happened. Did it really cover all the mountains? Silica-based flood sediment and fossils all over Earth's surface indicate that the flood waters were at least 30,000 feet deep, almost 6 miles. This is the required depth for the formation of quartz rocks and fossils. A great deal of pressure from these depths, together with heat from earthquake friction, is required to form rocks and fossils. For perspective on the depth, imagine shrinking the 8,000-mile diameter Earth down to the size of a basketball. The thin, brittle crust on the basketball-sized Earth would be equivalent in thickness to 3 sheets of construction paper, and the flood depth would have been equivalent to only 1 sheet. Pangea. Note that the strong gravitational forces involved, together with the slowing of Earth's 1,000 km per second rotational speed, would cause a breaking up of Earth's thin, brittle crust in several places. Pangea appears to have broken apart during the flood, the various pieces spreading across the globe in the tens and hundreds of years thereafter. Genesis says, "In the days of Peleg was the earth divided." Also, Plato's Atlantis, which describes Atlantis as being as large as Asia and Africa, says that Atlantis was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, west of the Mediterranean Sea. Native American legends say that Turtle Island, America, floated to its current location from somewhere else. Water worlds. Look to the hydromoons of Saturn and Jupiter for additional examples of known spheres composed mostly of water. Consider that water covers 70% of Earth's surface. Also consider that if all dry land was evened out, it would only be 410 feet above sea level, whereas the oceans average 12,000 feet deep. Also consider that there is water everywhere we drill. It is just a matter of how deep. Seeps, springs, geysers, and spring-filled lakes are common everywhere on Earth. Which comet caused it? The exact comet is still unknown. However, Sedna has an elliptical orbit that fits the timetable mentioned in Genesis, which happens to line up precisely with the catastrophic events seen in the tree ring dating studies. Additional clues from history. Note the Genesis account of creation says, "And let the dry land appear," as if the continent was coming up out of water. Other creation and flood accounts follow similar themes. For instance, legends from Asia and the Americas depict the earth rising on the back of a turtle, or describe the continental landmass being like a turtle's back rising out of the depths. Also note that several flood narratives and myths around the globe are associated with comets, often described as appearing like a fire-breathing dragon in the sky just prior to the great upheaval. Why it couldn't be magma in Earth's interior? There is no viable source of heat for it, and magma theory is at odds with heat flow dynamics in Earth's crust. Also, most rocks and sediment have never been melted. Surface and subsurface lava is extremely rare when compared to known quantities of water. The UM points out that lava is simply the result of earthquake frictional heat in Earth's crust and does not come from theoretical subterranean magma. Is there enough inertia to hold the continents in place? A 27-mile permanent bulge at the equator is evidence of the great amount of force rotational inertia exacts on our planet. The moon and sun's gravitational pull only causes a 2-meter or 6-foot oceanic tide and sub-meter solid body tide or earth tide. Therefore, they are not the cause of the bulge. The bulge is further evidence of a liquid-filled Earth. Water fits the data best. Thus we see that we are living on a hydroplanet, and that there really was a global flood just a few thousand years ago. Thanks for watching.